Hello and welcome to Simple French Cooking. My name is Francois Dumlog, and today I was out in my garden picking just tons of zucchini blossoms. This is like one of my favorite times of year. I just love stuffed zucchini blossoms. So in a previous video, I had filmed a beignet of zucchini blossoms where it's just really super simple. It was a zucchini blossom without anything inside, dipped in a tempura batter and fried. And there will be a link to that video in case you want to see the first one. But today I picked so many of these and I have all these great ingredients. So I want to show you 3 different kinds of stuffed zucchini blossoms. Now, if you look online, you're going to see a bunch of sites telling you about male blossoms, female blossoms, and maybe you don't know the difference. So a female blossom is one that grows at the end of a young zucchini. I usually leave these alone on my plant because I'm trying to grow zucchini more than I am blossoms. I generally never pick zucchini any bigger than this when it has the zucchini blossom attached. Otherwise, when you're cooking it all together, the bottom might stay a little bit too firm. Now, these are female zucchini blossoms. Now, male ones, these grow on the plant and these blossoms won't produce any fruit. And what you'll see, big, long, thin stems like this with a blossom growing at the end. And pick these to your heart's content. It's not going to slow down the production of your zucchinis from happening. But at any rate, join me today and I'm going to show you how to do 3 different recipes for stuffing your zucchini blossoms. Totally awesome. So the very first zucchini blossom I want to show you is the simplest. So we're going to take a piece of prosciutto, and if you don't have prosciutto, you could use anchovies, or really you don't even need to have any meat. And then you're going to take a basil leaf, a piece of fresh mozzarella, and you want to make sure you get the soft, fresh loaf kind instead of the dry one you might grate for your pizza. And take a piece of mozzarella about a little bigger than your thumb, put it in the basil leaf, and just wrap it up like that. And then take your zucchini blossom, stick it right in the center. So now you have it in there. And then we're just going to take the end and twist it to seal it. Don't worry too much if it's not sealed all the way, because when you dip it in the batter and fry it, everything's going to stay in there perfect. Next on the list, we're going to stuff a zucchini blossom with fresh goat cheese. So, in every grocery store now, you can find fresh logs of goat cheese. It makes it really easy. And so I'm going to take a piece, a couple 2 inches long, 2.5 inches long, and just mash it up in a bowl. The other day, I cooked these tomatoes really slowly in my oven so they kind of dried out. I think those would be awesome in here. And whenever I do that, I always cook the tomatoes with a head of garlic. And so this is roasted garlic. And then I think I'm going to add just a touch of tapenade to the mixture. You can get the recipe for black olive tapenade in the links down below, okay? And we're just going to mix this up with our fingers. Oh man, that's a flavor bomb. It's just so many flavors. If you want, you could put a little fresh thyme in there, a little fresh basil, but since I got basil in the other ones, I'm not going to put it in these. Now let me show you a trick. The easiest way to get something creamy into a zucchini blossom is using a pastry bag. And if you don't have a pastry bag, take a Ziploc. These work wonders, and I can't tell you how many times in a professional kitchen I just used a Zippy. All right, so now you want to scoop your mixture into your Ziploc. And just kind of squeeze it into the bottom there. And you know, the whole reason we're doing this is so we don't get our hands dirty. Now what you want to do is get it all like into the corner of the bag here. And then what you want to do is just cut off the bottom. Make sure you keep that. Cut off the bottom and look at that. Now you have your own pastry bag. And so we're just going to take the blossom like this. Just give it a little squeeze in there. On the mozzarella ones, we're going to twist up the ends of the flowers and just put them on a plate. You know, another thing when you're doing these is you always want to look inside the blossom to make sure that you're not cooking like an ant or a little spider that might have crawled in. All right, and for the last zucchini blossom, we're gonna take some whole milk ricotta. And I'll put the recipe down in the link, so don't worry if you're not getting all of this. So that's 1 cup of ricotta. I wanna put 1 egg yolk. I'm gonna separate that real quick. All right, we're gonna put just a few grates of nutmeg. And I don't want it to be too strong, but just enough to give it that kind of like sweet, yummy flavor. You know, and while I got the microplane out, I got this lemon. I'm just gonna zest a little bit in there. And what that's gonna do is give the dish a little bit of brightness. You know, otherwise it'd be kind of like one-dimensional in its flavor, just too much of the cream. You need a little bit of acid to cut the fat. Let's put a little bit of fresh black pepper. There we go. We'll add a pinch of salt. So we're just a little bit of Parmesan to our ricotta. And this is gonna help bind it up a little bit. I find the easiest way to just cut it right on a microplane. Look how cool that is. All right, and lastly, I picked all this beautiful basil in my garden. Let's just chop it up real quick, and then we'll add it to it. Let me get my knife out. This is gonna be so delicious. I'm like drooling right now thinking about lunch. You know, and this is a great thing too, that you can make all 3 of these. I can have your friends come over as like a little hors d'oeuvre before you're eating. You know, pour a glass of rosé, sit out in the hot sun, and just munch on these delicious zucchini blossoms. All right, so we're gonna add that basil in there. And then we're just gonna mix this up. Whoa, look at that. If you have a pastry bag, you can use that. If you don't have a pastry bag, take another clean Ziploc bag and do it again. I'm going to be using a small tip. I don't know what number it is, doesn't matter, but I like to take smaller ones. And just drop that in the bottom. Fold your pastry bag over like this. Just trying to work really neat here. All right. You just want to like shake it to the bottom. Tie the bag up like this and hold it in your hand so you can squeeze. We're just going to take a zucchini, stick the tip inside, and just press. Look at that. Just probably a tablespoon, a heaping tablespoon worth of filling in each one. Look at that. And then we're just gonna twist the tips like this, kind of tuck them under. All right, So excuse me if the sound isn't perfect at this point, but I went outside to my outdoor kitchen just because it's kind of hot out and I don't want to make my house any hotter. Plus, I don't want to splatter any hot oil in the kitchen. But you can do this using like a Dutch oven or whatever you have, half filled with oil. And you want to heat your oil up to 350 degrees. And it's really important to be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to burn yourself. All right, so we're going to take our zucchini blossom, just dip it in our tempura batter real quick. Just pour off any extra batter because you really don't want it to have a lot of batter. And then we're going to dip it in the oil just slowly so it starts frying. And what that's going to do is prevent it's going to create a little bit of a layer that's going to stop it from sticking when you drop the rest of it in. All right, so take your blossom, just want to dip it in. Look at that, that's perfect. And after they're cooked, about 5 minutes, 8 minutes, you just want to drain them on a paper towel. Take off that extra oil. All right, and now we get to serve these beautiful beignets to my family. So look how beautiful they came out. Anyways, enjoy. Thank you for watching Simple French Cooking. You have a wonderful day. Take care.